We often come across paintings of exceptional beauty and faces that convey deep emotion, drawing us into a sense of awe and sublimity. Many works capture our attention with their extravagance, their forms and colors, or their bold and abstract style. However, some paintings manage to move us on a much deeper level. Sometimes a single human face is enough to stir an intense reaction within us. An expressive gaze or a simple gesture can convey an emotion that resonates deep within us, and I can openly say that few artists have mastered the ability to evoke feelings through portraiture as brilliantly as William-Adolphe Bouguereau. His full name was William-Adolphe Bouguereau, and he was born in the port city of La Rochelle, France, on November 30, 1825. At the age of 13, he began receiving drawing lessons from Louis Sage, while also attending Pons College. According to a biography written by Mark Walker, Bouguereau arrived in Paris in the spring of 1846 as a determined young man of 20. It is worth noting the strong likelihood that his surroundings had a significant influence on him, something we will see throughout this video on Bouguereau. Let us not forget that Paris at that time was the artistic center of the world, and one can clearly see these influences in Bouguereau's art. Although he came from a humble background, Bouguereau managed to convince the artist François Picot to recommend him for admission to the École des Beaux-Arts, where he was accepted with difficulty. At 25 years old, he won the Prix de Rome, a prestigious annual award given to the top student of the Académie Royale, which granted him the opportunity to study in Rome for 3 years. This journey had a clear influence on his work. Greco-Roman myths, along with classical architecture and culture, became recurring elements in his paintings. This can be seen in the Greco-Roman features evident in works such as The Abduction of Psyche or Bacchus. Without a doubt, his stay in Rome gave him the chance to closely study his surroundings and learn how to incorporate them into his art. Upon his return to Paris in 1854, Bouguereau achieved immediate success with the body of Saint Cecilia carried to the catacombs. This accomplishment propelled him into a highly successful career painting portraits, religious works, and female nudes. Oil painting was clearly his preferred medium. As a professor and distinguished scholar, Bouguereau was recognized as a leading figure in academic art, strongly opposing the innovations of modernism. Perhaps this stance made him unpopular among many, which explains why, after his death in 1905, much of his work fell into obscurity. However, in recent years, his art has been re-evaluated and is now highly appreciated once again. It is important to highlight that Bouguereau's style remains consistent throughout most of his works, and there seems to be no need for it to change. Observing his work, it becomes evident that he had complete mastery over figure painting, achieving a level of perfection that left little room for improvement. Despite the artistic trends of the time moving away from classical, realistic, and academic forms, Bouguereau never abandoned his preferred genre. None of his works are abstract, non-realistic, or non-representational, nor are they associated with artistic relativism. The vast majority are oil paintings, all marked by a neoclassical, realistic, and romantic style, focusing on the representation of the human figure. Furthermore, it is crucial to clarify that Bouguereau's works do not belong to the photorealism genre. Photorealistic pieces are intentionally created to resemble photographs and often depict everyday objects like cars, soda cans, or storefronts. These images, while visually striking, usually have the same emotional impact as an actual photograph of those objects. By contrast, Bouguereau's art belongs to a different and arguably superior category. Although his paintings are extremely realistic, they do not mimic the appearance of a photograph. His works possess a texture, form, and use of color that honor their nature as oil paintings. In fact, one could argue that, in some ways, they appear more real than a photograph. Additionally, his compositions have a transcendent quality. The figures he painted, being living human beings, hold a much greater impact and emotional force than any inanimate object. Through his artistry, Bouguereau gave them a visual and emotional weight far beyond what a photograph could capture. His paintings, in their sophistication, possess a unique ability to connect with the viewer and touch the heart in a truly special way. Before we dive deeper into Bouguereau's technique and style, I want to invite you, once you finish watching this video, to check out the link I'll leave in the description. There, you'll find our catalogue featuring hundreds of carefully selected artworks for true art lovers. By the time I upload this video, I hope to have a special collection dedicated to this incredible artist where you can explore his masterpieces in more detail. You'll also have the chance to purchase your favorite piece and bring it into your home as part of your collection. Shipping is completely free worldwide, and by making a purchase, you'll be supporting my ability to continue creating videos like this. I don't accept any external sponsorships, as I believe this is the best way to fund this project independently. This way, you receive a high-quality artwork that will last a lifetime, and I can continue producing videos like this every week. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's continue. Fardeau agréable, which translates to something like pleasant burden or not too much to carry in English, is one of Bouguereau's paintings that depicts young peasant girls or country maidens. This was one of Bouguereau's favorite themes, and many of his paintings feature similar young women. These works stand in striking contrast to his many paintings of nymphs or mature female nudes. The young girls in these paintings are always fully clothed and are not of an age to possess sexual characteristics. In fact, these paintings may serve as evidence that Bouguereau did not paint nudes merely to produce sexualized imagery. That is, even in his nude paintings, he was interested in something more. It is likely that his focus was on conveying humanity, human emotions, and pathos, rather than simply sexuality. This painting conveys a profound sense of emotion and sentiment. This is the kind of feeling Bouguereau sought to express, a call to brotherhood and the inherent goodness in humanity. These simple country girls possess a unique power to touch the hearts of viewers with their innocence and a strong human yearning for goodness and simplicity. In La Crépuscule, Bouguereau uses the human figure in a completely different way. It is possible, and even likely, that many buyers of Bouguereau's more sensual and erotic works viewed them as objects of impure or licentious pleasure. However, this may not have been the artist's intended interpretation, nor is it the appropriate way to appreciate such fine art. In other words, there is a clear distinction between artistic nudity and pornographic material. La Crépuscule, or Twilight, is a stunning oil painting depicting a mature nude woman floating in what seems to be a state of ecstasy above an oceanic landscape. In the background, a crescent moon rises. The woman's head is tilted as if she is dancing. In one hand, she delicately holds the edge of a long, sheer black fabric which drapes around her, appearing to be lifted by an unseen sea breeze. This light material frames the upper part of her body, gently caressing her weightless legs. It leaves most of her figure fully exposed, without any apparent attempt to conceal anything. In line with Bouguereau's Greco-Roman themes, this is likely a representation of Nyx, the goddess of the night. Indeed, it is a highly seductive and alluring image. One could argue that such an image is inappropriate and should not be held in high regard. It could also be said that it presents an unrealistic depiction of a woman, one that no real human could attain, similar to modern-day photoshopped models. However, in response to these objections, there is another perspective to consider. The late Pope John Paul II once said, "The problem with pornography is not that it shows too much of a person, but that it shows too little." This means that pornography reduces the human body to a mere object, stripping away the inherent dignity and beauty of the person. In fact, Catholicism, often seen as strictly opposed to anything bodily or sexual, has long maintained the belief that the female body is the pinnacle of creation and one of the most beautiful things in existence. Regarding the unrealistic portrayal of a woman, one could argue that whenever we critique an artistic figure, saying that the neck is too long, the hips too wide, or the breast too small, we are implicitly acknowledging the existence of an ideal standard of beauty. An artist's duty is to seek out beauty and share it with others. That is why La Crépuscule is not disguised pornography, but rather a highly skilled and thoughtful artistic endeavor by a talented and educated man. Bouguereau sought to reveal true beauty and evoke deep emotional connections with his viewers, allowing them to see something aspirational and profound in the image. There is something about authentic nudity that does not provoke lust and objectification, but rather shames and diminishes those base instincts. I'd love for you to share in the comments whether you were already familiar with this artist, if there was a particular artwork in this video that truly resonated with you, or any other thoughts you'd like to contribute. It's truly an honor for me to hear your opinions. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you next time.